Hello everyone. Today we will discuss Single Award Science 2021 Physics paper. First question. The diagram shows a wave at an instant in time. Which arrow of the diagram shows the wavelength of the wave? We know wavelength is the distance in between two adjacent crests or two adjacent troughs. So here you can see the arrow D is showing, or the length D is showing the wavelength. So answer is D. Next question, which arrow of the diagram shows the amplitude of the wave? The definition, or like how we represent amplitude, is the distance from the undisturbed point to the crest, or distance from the undisturbed point to the trough. So here that will be given by diagram A, or the arrow A. You can see C is also given, but remember C is twice times the amplitude. So answer is A. Next question. The boxes given give some properties of waves and definition of these properties. Draw a straight line linking each wave property to its correct definition. So we will see how we can connect this. And frequency. Frequency means the number of complete vibrations of the wave each second. So you will connect it to there. Period is the time taken for one complete vibration of the wave. That is correct. Then wavefront, a line along which all waves are at the same stage of their vibration. So that is also correct. Now here you only had to connect it, but next paper maybe you will have to write this down. Because of that, remember the definition for next question or next paper. Next one, which row of the table is correct for light waves and for sound waves? Both can transfer energy, yes of course, and both can reflect and refract, yes, so answer is D. Next one, the photograph shows a truck with a crane that is used to move large bags of building materials. So as soon as you look at this one, you can think about it can be for work done or it can be for moment. Let's see which question is it. State the formula linking work done. Yeah, work done equals force into distance moved. Always remember, this work done will be applied if the force is applied to the same direction and also it is moved to that same direction. If it is moved perpendicularly, we can't calculate the work done for that specific scenario. A bag of building materials has a weight of 8,750 newtons. Calculate the work done on the bag when it is lifted a vertical distance of 230 centimeters from the ground until it is stationary again. Now here I want you to look at something very closely. This is given in newtons, but this value is given in centimeters. So you have to do a small unit conversion when you are substituting there. So we will substitute into our equation. W equals force is 8,750, the same value we can write down. Now for this length, I'm going to write 230 divide by 100. So I'm going to get the answer in meters. So once I evaluate this one, once we calculate this one, the answer will be 20,125. So I'm writing that answer here. Write the units, Newton meters, or you can say joules. Now by any chance, if you have multiplied this same thing with 230, your unit here should be Newton centimeters, not joules. So you are getting 3 marks for substitution, correct answer and the correct unit. The crane takes 7 seconds to lift the bag. Calculate the mean power output of the crane when it is lifting the bag. Now we know the equation. Equation is power equals work done over time. Or we can say the other equation, power equals energy transferred over time. Both of these are correct. But here, since we know the answer for work done, we will use this first equation. So I will substitute power equals 20,125 divided by time is 7 seconds. So we are getting the answer. I can say 2,857.14 watts If you have rounded it and written 2860, also it's okay. Next question. The truck has a stability leg which is positioned on the wooden board. Give a reason why the wooden board is used. We know in order to increase the in order to decrease the pressure on the ground, we can use this type of a wooden board and spread that whole force in a large area. So we will write about that. Give a reason why the wooden board is used, that is to reduce the pressure on the ground. Next one, state the formula linking pressure, force and area. So it will be pressure equals force over area. Now when you have to state these equations, I would recommend you to write down the equation in word format without writing the symbol format. The wooden board is a square with side length of 0.5 meters. The pressure the board exerts on the ground is 148 kilopascals. Calculate the force exerted by the board on the ground. One more thing again. Here this length is given in meters, so it is given in the standard units. But if you look at this one, it is given in kilopascals. So that means it is 148,000 pascals. So in my calculation, when I'm substituting, I'm going to make sure that I write all of these zeros. Otherwise, it can, sometimes I might get a wrong answer because of this issue. So I will write, they're asking us to find out the force exerted. So our equation is P equals F over A. And we need to find out force. So force equals pressure into area. How do you find out the area now? I'll write down area equals 0.5 meters into 0.5 meters because it's a square. That will be the answer for the area. Now I'm going to take it here. Pressure is 148,000 into 0.25. So the answer will be 30. Hope you are getting the same answer. It is 37,000. Next one. A student does an investigation to see how the type of surface affects the motion of a sliding block. The diagram shows a student's apparatus viewed from above with the block and its initial and final positions. This is the student's method. Attach the elastic band between two fixed stands. Push a 250-gram block into the elastic band until the band is pushed back 15 centimeters. Release the block. Measure the distance traveled by the block from the stand. Release the block 2 more times. Measure the distance traveled each time. The student then repeats this method with the apparatus set up on different surfaces. State the independent and dependent variable in the student's investigation. So if you look at, you can see that the thing that we change is the different types of surfaces, so that the independent variable will be the surface. Then the dependent variable is like what we measure, like we measure the distance traveled by the block. Here it is given, so we can say distance traveled by the block. Next question. The table shows students' results. Calculate the mean distance traveled by the lab bench surface. Give your answer to the nearest centimeter. Okay, here they have given values 26, 26 plus 24. This is the calculation that you have to do. I'll show it here. What's it mean distance? Equals 26 plus 26 plus 24. 4 divided by 3. So I would get the answer like 25 centimeters. They said give your answer to nearest centimeter. So the answer that we are getting is 25.3, but I will round it and say 25 centimeters because they are asking to the nearest centimeter. Answer here should be 25. Yeah, here if you have written, that's enough. So if you have written this way, you are getting 2 marks. Give a reason why the data in the table shows that the student results are reliable. Now, in order to get reliable results, what we do in our experiment is we do this repetitive experiments, or the experiment we repeat few times. So, due to that reason, you can see in the table like we have a set of data which is almost similar to each other like in each time, in each trial. So, we can say that the experiment is repeated. Repeated 3 times, and readings are also consistent, like it's in the same range. It didn't deviate so much. The next question, the student plot a bar chart for the results. Give a reason why bar chart is the correct type of graph for this investigation. And we know like we use line graphs whenever we have continuous data. But here they are talking about different types of surfaces. So surfaces are not continuous. So we say these are discontinuous data. For discontinuous data, we'll have to use a bar chart. So you can say data for the surface is not continuous. Or we can say this surface data is discontinuous. It's 1 mark question, so I'm not going to explain much more. Next question. A car accelerates along a level road. The diagram shows some of the horizontal forces acting on the car as it accelerates. A driving force acts on the car as shown in the diagram. State the name of the other force shown in the diagram. We know when the vehicle is moving forward, there will be frictional forces acting. Now, there are 2 different types of frictional forces or resistive forces. Those are the friction on the road and the air resistance. So we will say in this one air resistance or friction. Since it is marked a little bit up, we will say air resistance first. Or you can say drag. And if you have mentioned resistance also, it is fine. Sorry, if you have mentioned friction is also okay. Moving to next, state the formula linking unbalanced force, mass and acceleration. It's from the Newton's second law. So, unbalanced force equals mass into acceleration. Then moving to next one, the unbalanced force acting on the car is 2900 newtons. The mass of the car is 1200 kilograms. Calculate the acceleration of the car. So we know the equation already. We need to find out acceleration. So rearrange and write A equals F over M, and force is 2900 newtons divided by 1200 kilograms. Then we are getting the answer 2.42. We can round it and write 2.4 meters per second square. 2.4. Next question. The driver sees an obstacle in the road and applies the brakes. The driver has a reaction time of 0.5 seconds. He applies the brakes for 2.5 seconds. The graph shows how the velocity of the car changes from when the driver sees the obstacle until car stops. Now, this is the setup whenever you have a stop in distance question, stop in distance graph. The first section, the vehicle is going in the constant speed. That is the part where we say think in distance. And the rest of it, you can see that the velocity decreases gradually. That section is called the break in distance. So, addition of this whole area will be the total distance. Now, let's see what are the questions. Describe how the thinking distance is affected by the condition of the car's brakes and the speed of the car. Now, if you think about how it is affecting exactly, car's brake would only affect on the braking distance. It is not affecting on the thinking distance. The speed of the car, if the speed of the car is greater, the thinking distance will be greater. So, they are asking us to explain, describe how the thinking distance is affected. Yeah, only the thinking distance. Condition of the brakes has no effect on thinking distance. The speed of the car, the greater the speed of the car, we'll say, greater the thinking distance. And think about all other factors which is affecting on the thinking distance. If the person consumed alcohol, if the person is tired, the driver, and if the driver is distracted, the thinking distance can increase because that he can't react quickly. And also in the other side, how can the braking distance can increase if the vehicle is moving faster, as it said here, and if the mass is more. And also if the road is in poor conditions, if the wheels are in poor conditions, all of these things can affect to increase the braking distance. Next question, use the graph to calculate the braking distance. Now we know the area under the graph of a velocity time graph will give the distance. So here they are only asking the braking distance, so we'll only have to find out this area. Let's look at the readings. Here it is 2.5 seconds, and this is 15, 16, 17, 18. So this would be 18. So we'll take that data, 18, 2.5. So it's a triangle, so I'm going to use, first of all I'm going to write it, distance equals area under the graph. Substituting half into 2.5 is the time and the velocity is 18. So the answer will be 22.5 5 meters. Next one. So in this question they are asking, the diagram shows a coil of wire W, X, Y, Z, position between the opposite poles. In this question, in the fifth question, the diagram shows a coil of wire W, X, Y, Z, position between the opposite poles of a magnet. The arrow shows the direction of the current in the coil. And draw arrow on the diagram to show the direction of the forces that acts on the coil due to the magnet. Now this question is relating with the Fleming's left-hand rule. So in another video, I'll bring all the information about how to use Fleming's left-hand rule and what are the uses of it. Now let's see how to apply the Fleming's left-hand rule roughly here. You know that we have to keep, first of all we have to take the left hand, then keep the first three fingers perpendicular to each other, and the thumb will show the force, and the second finger will show the magnetic field direction, the third finger will show the current direction. So if I keep the fingers here, this will be the direction of the second finger, and third finger will be pointing to that side. So if I keep my both fingers that way, my thumb is showing downwards. So it will be downward. So what they're asking us to do is draw the arrow on the diagram to show the direction of the forces that acts on the coil due to the magnet. So this direction is downwards. I already explained how to find out. And also, because the current is moving to the opposite side in YZ bar, or like YZ axis, this force will be applied to the opposite side, so that this whole coil will be spinning throughout. Explain the motion of the coil of wire. Refer to the magnetic field in your answer. Now in this case they are asking what is the motion of the coil of wire and why is it, like how is it generated. So we can say first of all, around the magnetic field, around the wire which is conducting electricity, they have already given the current is passed through the wire, so that we know there's a magnetic field created. So we will write this way. There's a magnetic field around the current carrying wire. And also it is kept in the permanent magnetic field, so that there will be interactions between this magnetic field and the permanent magnetic field. After this interference, what will happen is there will be a resultant force due to that. Coil starts to rotate, and also remember the forces on both sides are applied into opposite direction. That is the main reason why it is spinning. And also, rather than saying that there will be magnetic field interference, you can say that there will be magnetic field overlapping as well. For that one also you would get the same mark. Okay, next question. Explain how the motion of the coil will change if the current is increased. Now we know if the current is increased, the magnetic field will be more. Because of that, force will also increase. Force on the coil increases. The next one, because of this reason, therefore, the rotation speed will increase. Rotation speed increases. Look at the sixth question. A student investigates how the current in a filament lamp varies as the voltage across the lamp is changed. Draw a circuit that the student could use for this investigation. So hope you can remember our experiment. In this experiment we have a battery connected, or it can be a power supply. To this one we have the ammeter connected and also a variable resistor. After the variable resistor, we will have the component that we need to measure. So for this instance, I will draw it as a bulb, since we are talking about the metal filament bulb. Here there should be one straight line, like that. And also here there should be the voltmeter. Next one, instead of using the variable resistor, actually you can use a variable power supply as well. That is also correct. The student completes the investigation. The graph shows the results. Now, if you look at the data set, you can see it's getting kind of like a curve. So, draw the curve of best fit. So, if you try to draw this, it should be a nice curve like that. The last point I could have included in the, so let's see, let's try again. That way, it could have been included. Now, you can see that 2 points are missing. I mean, two points are a little bit away from the line. If you try this few times, you can get a better drawing, but I mean, this is also fine. And also, I'm using this, like when you're doing it with the pencil, you can do it nicely better than this. Use a graph to determine the resistance of the filament lamp when the voltage across the lamp is 2 volts. Our equation is V equals IR. I'll write down that equation first. Then I need to find out the resistance of the filament lamp. So R equals V over I. And the R value at 2 volts, if I look at from the graph, sorry, the current value, if I look at from the graph, it's actually, they have given, it is 0.016. 0.016. So V is 2, this is 0.016. I'm getting the answer as 125 ohms. Next question. Explain the change in the resistance of the filament lamp as the voltage across the lamp is increased from 2 volts. When the voltage increases, what happens is the temperature inside the metal filament lamp increases. Due to this reason, the number of electrons movement will reduce. It's not increasing as it is supposed to increase with the voltage. So we will write it this way. When the voltage increases, the resistance increases due to the increment in temperature. Since we have mentioned that part, I mean for 2 marks that would be enough, but you can explain a little bit further if you want, that the number of electrons which would move in that position through a wire would not pass through because the temperature is increased already. Let's look at next question. The question is about sun. The solar system consists of sun and other astronomical objects. Complete the diagram to show how a planet and a comet orbits the sun. We know planet's orbit is circular around the sun. Draw like that. It's not perfect. Try again. Okay, but it should be something circular like that. And also the planet will be here. So I'll mark this is the planet. But if you think about the comet will be an elliptical orbit. So I will draw it this way. Draw it like that. I'll draw once again. Yeah, this will be the comet's path. And remember always the comet path is going around the sun when it is in a corner like this. It's not going from the middle. Next question. Name the evolutionary stage of the sun that before it becomes a main sequence star, that is nebula. We had this same type of a question in the previous paper also. Nebula. The color of the star is related to its surface temperature. Explain what will happen to the color of the sun after it leaves the main sequence. We know that when the sun leaves the main sequence, it goes into the it turns into a red giant. So that means its surface temperature is decreasing and turning into red. So we will say color will become red. Also, the surface of the sun will reduce. Sorry, surface temperature of the sun will reduce. Or cools down. Next question. The sun emits a stream of charged particle called solar wind. The solar wind contains high energy alpha and beta particles. Describe 3 differences between alpha and beta particles. So if you think about alpha, beta, gamma, obviously all of these three things are different to each other. So first of all, you can talk about the composition. So first thing, beta are negatively charged and alpha is positively charged. You have to talk about those both of them, since we are talking about the difference. As a second point, we can say beta has a lower mass than alpha, because beta is only an electron. Then we can say beta has 1 charge but alpha has 2 charges. They have only asked 3, but I would say if we are going to talk more, we can say beta as an electron and alpha is 2 protons and 2 neutrons, the structure. Then you can say beta is less ionizing than alpha, and also you can say beta has a long range in air than alpha, and also you can say beta has a higher penetration power than alpha as well. Then a spacecraft travels through the sun's solar wind on its journey from Earth to Mars. Explain why the solar wind does not make the spacecraft radioactive. Now in this case we can say, in order to become radioactive, it has to be contaminated. But even though it is exposed or even though it is irradiated, it is not contaminated. So we can say spacecraft has only been irradiated. It was not contaminated. And also this radioactive source has not been in contact with the spacecraft. That is the whole reason for that. That's it for them. And if you have any more questions and doubts, please put it in the comments so that I can make separate videos for those things. And also share this video with your friends so that they can also study with this video. Thank you so much. Bye.